Hello and welcome to another episode of the Robin Sealark channel. And may I just say, yeehaw. A couple of weeks ago I made a video about sketchbooks and went through the work in 6 different sketchbooks. You can see some of the stuff like we made in that, yeah. But with sketchbooks being on my mind, I ended up doing a sketchbook challenge with my patrons last month, and from that it gave me the concept of this video. For the last while I've known I've had building interest in and intent towards illustration, and so I've been doing a bit more work with drawing, and part of that has been doing drawings outside in Utah or when I'm in the passenger seat going on roads. And while I didn't have anything precisely in mind that I was trying to pull from that practice, it did make me start to develop a way of transcribing the landscape. One might call it a development of an illustrative style. The thing about sketchbooks that's really exciting is the ways in which you can try ideas and see them develop and integrate over time into your work. The specific Patreon challenge was to work in your sketchbook over the period of the month and to start building ideas, and at the end of it to highlight something you had made in your sketchbook, assemble ideas. So I wanted to do that myself and make a piece. And I ended up looking at some recent cloud sketches that I did outside, and I was really drawn in by this style of the drawing. So this is what I made for my Patreon challenge. Today I would like to just go through 2 simple sketchbook studies. They're landscapes, illustrative, imagined, and I thought it'd be nice to go through that process with you. You can try to recreate or build on any of these ideas in your own sketchbook practice. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the voiceover. Today I wanted to show off 2 quick and simple sketches that I'm putting down based off of imagined landscapes that I have conceptualized in my head, along with the stylistic qualities of some of the ways that I've been drawing out landscape features in my sketchbook. I want to emphasize the quickness of these, the looseness and the free form that sketchbooks allow in general, but the way that you can also turn this into more established, defined pieces. As I go through these time lapses, I want to put next to them the actual images that I came up with, since this was imagined and I was working kind of free form. It's interesting to conceptualize how you might make different choices knowing where you're going versus sculpting that process along the way. So if you do end up wanting to work on something like this in your own sketchbook, I would pay attention to what you think works best for you. I wanted to go for a landscape that was very grand, something that emphasized the massive scale of landscape features, because sometimes when you get out into the land, something I can't seem to capture is the vastness, the scale of being in something in person versus when you photograph it and things shrink down. So I really accentuated the size of this cloud in contrast to the smaller land features in the back on our horizon. I have a small feature in the very foreground meant to establish some additional depth. It's a bit of land and grass that is above, so you as the viewer are standing above looking at this scene and able to look at the roads winding back and some of the smaller mountain features, as well as this large sky with everything a little bit exaggerated. We're going for more illustrative, interesting colors, and that's kind of the point of doing something that's a bit more stylized. I do think that it would be really interesting to combine some of the more stylistic features, the more illustrative pieces of my sketchbook stuff, with a more realistic, in-depth or oil painting version where I'm able to capture some of the play and experimentation of working this way, but also sinking into imagining it in a real present moment and perhaps looking at the clouds in a different way. This one, I wanted to coat the entire base with blue because I knew that I wanted to have a very strong color. I wanted to emphasize different features of glow along the horizon line, and I used my acrylic paints here very much like watercolors. You'll see the way I build up the blues in layers, darkening and deepening them as we go along the process. When you're trying to establish perspective, as I did in these two pieces, something I would ask you to keep in mind is as things are further away from you as the viewer, you're going to have a flattening of lines, a flattening of your mountain features, as well as the curves of these river bends. It's something I've talked about in previous videos on perspective, but really establishing your distant versus your foreground will do wonders to allow you to be more playful with actual coloration and fantasy aspects of your work. And by going out into the land and doing these drawings, even just drawing when someone else is driving a car, you can figure out better ways to flatten and shorten those landscapes to show them projecting out in front of you so that you can get into the more fun parts of stylistic drawing and line control, how you place your details and what the specific style is that you use to bring into your landscape features. This is really exciting to start finding a drawing style that I like with landscapes after looking at a bunch of different artists. I am feeling a little bit inspired by Studio Ghibli right now, Studio Ghibli, but I have looked at different illustrative artists in the past and recently. And so I think through that study, as well as through my own defined practice and working on this Patreon challenge this month, it was really cool to see how quickly I could start pulling things from my sketchbook work and developing what my illustrative style was. So we went from here to our studies. I'm really happy about the line work on the outside of these. I wanted to combine different elements. These are mainly in acrylic, but of course I did put on some pencil, and I did use some colored pencil to accentuate some of the glowing features in the after detailing parts of these paintings. If you want to support me, go ahead, subscribe, check out more videos, and you can find me across all of my platforms at Sealark for more content during the week. You can buy work from this video or from my sketchbook video, or even some of the pieces behind me at robinsealark.com, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye!